Hello, I'm Steven, and this is Cherry Knoll Whiskey Reviews. Today we are going to be going through Henry Mckenna 10 year. The other Steve and I had actually already reviewed this bottle, but the audio ended up corrupted, so I'm back to do the review solo this time and give you our thoughts on it, because I do remember somewhat of what Steve was saying. So this is a Heaven Hill product. Some other things by the same company, or like Elijah Craig, a bunch of other stuff. Pretty big name. Most of what we see in our area is the lower end version of Henry Mckenna. We don't really see the bottled and bond 10 year very much in this area. So this is barrel number 13651, and it was barreled on 1/15/13. So obviously last year being 2023, it was bottled and shipped out where I was able to find it. Not a whole lot to say about anything more about it. It's obviously bottled and bond with an extra 6 years of aging on top of what a typical bottled and bond would need. We've had our Heaven Hill bottled and bond, which is a 7 year. I think it's 7 year. Yeah. Which is their 7 year bottled and bond, essentially 3 years younger than this bottle, but made by the same distillery. I'm not sure if the mash bill is any different between them, but the first time that the other Steve and I kind of reviewed this, it was shortly after reviewing the Heaven Hill, and we both thought that this was over oaked in comparison. Obviously I have been sharing this bottle with quite a few people, and most other people's first initial thoughts on it is about the same. It's a lot oakier than people would expect, and I think that kind of throws them off. But the more I've had this bottle open and I've been trying it, the more I'm liking it. At first, I probably would have rated this at like 6.5, but I think it is creeping up as the bottle opens and I'm getting more used to the flavors that are in it. So the nose is kind of a light oak, vanilla, a little bit of like nuttiness, like a raw almond type nuttiness. But that's kind of it. You get a lot of the oak notes in the nose, which is somewhat nice, especially if you're a fan of Knob Creek with their high age statements on almost all of their whiskeys. You tend to end up with a lot of oak on it. But it doesn't have a nose that makes you think, oh, this is really special. And I think some people have been starting to find this bottle back toward the price that it should be, but I know for a while there this was being sold at like a secondary value way above what it ever should have been. So I'm going to get into it, let you know what I think about the flavors. Yeah, so right off the bat, you get a ton of oak on the flavor, which the other Steve really isn't a huge fan of the oak flavoring. So it kind of makes sense that he would shy away from this bottle. But in that oak, you do get a lot of vanillas, a lot of caramels, and then a kind of nuttiness throughout. I think as it's opened up, it's gotten sweeter. I think the harshness of the oak when we had first opened it kind of just hid every other flavor, which kind of put it somewhat low for both Steve and I. Yeah, it's pretty basic. There isn't a ton going on. But yeah, it's a decent bottle if you like oak, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel, and a little bit of nuttiness. It's a good bottle that kind of has all of those things. But I don't think that this bottle is worth, much more than $50, $60. If you think about it, Buffalo Trace Eagle Rare is a 10-year age statement, and when you can find that for a good price, you find that between $35 and $45. So if you're finding Henry Mckenna at that $35 to $45, then yeah, I think it's perfectly fine, especially if you like a little bit more oak. And of course I got Ruby over here hitting the tripod, shifting you guys on me. But yeah, it's a decent bourbon. Not a whole lot to say though. It is what it is. But yeah, if you're in this situation like a lot of other people where you're seeing this bottle for 80, 100 or more, I would say you could probably skip. It's not that impressive of a bottle to be paying much more than $60. It really would fit in that $35 to $45, the same as Eagle Rare, and that's where I personally feel it should live, and then that would make it a decent bottle for the money. But that's about all I've got to say about Henry Mckenna 10-year. Decent bottled and bond, but not for everyone. I think it's going to be a little bit more niche for people who like a oakier bourbon. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Catch you on the next one.